Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mary Jane Stealth Operative. It's time to get to the magic keypad that'll get us into Norman's secret thingy.
Somebody spiked Sable's coffee today.
You know, there is a certain poetry to a character called Mary Jane having to hide from the cops. But,
Was that supposed to be the joke when she was first introduced?
I believe that's the long-standing rumor. Because I believe Mary Jane was already a nickname for marijuana at that point. I don't know. Maybe I should ask Rick James.
Why are they just hanging around in Norman's house?
Because Norman's up here doing things, so...
Norman left.
Yeah, they just went up the security.
He went...
Well, no, he's still here.
He was talking about going to do something with Otto alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he shouldn't still be in the building.
No, he is still in the building. That's why Sable and her guards are here.
Oh, okay. I thought that he was, leaving the building. All right.
No, he was getting something
No.
before going.
Norman has left the building.
Why... Okay. Is Peter, busy right now?
He's a couple blocks away.
Okay,
to
how did
come
he
get-
not see you? Oh.
He
he did.
No,
Okay.
the idea is through their whole partnership, and Mary Jane can totally handle herself thing, which she totally can't actually. The idea is that Pete's a few blocks away, just kind of swinging around, and then she'll call him if she runs into any trouble. Which, yeah, still non-standard game over. So,
I mean, here's the thing. I do think that MJ could do this sort of thing. You know, I think that, if I were the team, if I were trying to, make these two come to a compromise, if MJ wants to help more, I do think that sneaking into Norman's apartment and finding evidence is something she could definitely do. But, also, if she were to be like, hey, Pete, there are armed guards here. I'm going to wait in the bathroom and then open a window when you're here and you can lift me downstairs.
well, that's what they're doing later. But
Oh,
it's
that's
just
what they're
one of
gonna
those-
do later? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those Mary's being stubborn and not taking the exit when she has the chance.
Oh, of course he's got a secret lab in here.
Secret tunnel.
And Norman made the devil's
Hey,
breath.
look at that. It's something that we all recognize.
Interesting.
Norman's got a real mad scientist thing going on.
Moo ha 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 ha.
What, and is this supposed to be trying to replicate Peter's spider powers? Because they were
Generally
talking about
speaking, yeah.
Or at least get a better understanding of how they work, yeah.
Norman wins the fancy map contest.
oh,
Looks like Norman's tracking Dr. Michael's
frickin'
movements.
sci-fi holographic.
Shows all the Sable troop deployments.
Who's Dr.
They're stationed
Michaels?
all over the city. I
A
bet
guy
I
we
know
met
who the
earlier,
devil's
just
Okay.
scientist dude.
is. It must be an Oscorp property with a ton of Sable protection, frequented by Dr. Michaels.
Oh, I see.
No.
Okay.
So does Norman not have any security cameras in here?
I guess not. Maybe he just doesn't assume that he would need them in his own house.
Hey, who's in here?
Well,
Mission failure. Game over.
Yeah, because
His
you left
house
the
is
door
like-
open and you're muttering to yourself the entire time.
I think the door closed behind her, actually.
I knew it. 10th and Cathedral, Oscorp's records department. Perfect place to hide a secret biotech facility.
Oh.
GR27 Martin Lee.
Dun dun dun.
What is this?
And we are rolling.
Oh, so it turns out Osborn created Mr. Negative.
Let the medicine do its work.
Oh my.
Did Otto also make
I was going to
make
question
Mr.
the
Negative?
quality of the video. I was going to say, it's from 1986.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, so they gave him the negative powers?
Generally, yeah.
And he
Not
was like
intentionally, mind you.
10, maybe?
My parents are dead. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, they're doing weird little things to him because science. And his parents are dead. Dun, 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 dun.
Very convenient that explosion only killed the parents and not Otto or Norman.
Well, they were behind the
They were
safety
off in a
glass.
protective room on the other side of that probably bulletproof glass.
Well, why were they in there and not the parents?
They started all of this. They created Lee.
Because they don't care about the parents?
I have to get this.
Well, along came a spider. You idiot.
Oops.
Oh, is this how Miles gets his powers?
Yep.
She broke open a thing, and then he gets bit by a genetically altered radioactive.
The 60s when radiation did wonderful
Spider-Man.
things to your body and not just kill you. She doesn't think to look behind the table. Honestly, freaking out with the spider would be the worst thing you could do in that situation.
No, that's
Yep.
why. That's why she's like trying really hard not to freak out.
Well, she's trying really hard not to freak out because she doesn't want Sable to notice her. Like, she immediately goes to, like, oh, I need to wipe myself down. It's like, no, that's the worst thing you could do when a spider like that's on you.
That's gonna get you bit.
Yeah, it's like, that's going to absolutely get you bit.
Well, she doesn't know that. She's not trained in spider.
Say the word
It's a
Neither
fairly,
are we. It's
but
just
it's a
basic
fairly, yeah,
insect logic.
it's a fairly known thing.
I didn't know
It's
it.
the same.
Maybe
It's the same
I'm just
logic you're
dumb.
supposed to apply to bees. You stay calm around the bee, it probably won't sting you.
I mean, I guess. Oh, hi, officer. Lovely day in.
Wait, there's a spider in there.
Oh,
There's
I'm
lo-
sorry. I thought this was my apartment. Yeah.
What are you guys doing in here? Get out of my house.
Journalism pays really good nowadays.
That balcony.
What's this guy just doing standing out here?
Admiring the view.
He's slacking off, obviously.
And of course, he happens to pull the trigger as you're coming along with it, so it's like,
Oh no, we can't possibly get through that.
Well, it probably is bulletproof.
Oh, good point.
to,
Good point. Well made.
yeah,
But is it
snipers,
laser
you know.
gun proof?
no,
No.
apparently not.
And she's not gonna recognize the TV reporter.
Save me, Doc Brown.
Free falling, oh, free fall.
Fucking doing the Lois Lane thing.
Yeah. She is Lois Lane.
Good thing that went better than my last girlfriend.
Ouch.
It's okay. She only has a couple of broken ribs from the 200-pound man slamming into her at 60 miles an hour. Better than dying, but you know.
Now, you know, if I were Mary Jane Watson and I knew that I was probably going to have to jump off a building someday and be caught by my superhero boyfriend, I'd probably wear padded armor every day of my life just in preparation for that moment.
I mean, it's winter in New York. She's probably wearing like 3 layers.
You are not alone anymore, Pete.
You've got me.
Let Morrison you find Norman.
I
Find
mean,
the cure.
Mary, you got to remember, I have Tony on speed dial.
Thanks.
He's fighting Mole Man, Pete.
No, the only reason I'm not actually a part of the Avengers is because they found my attitude a little bit annoying. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we need some space. It was a bit like when we broke up, actually.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have
Wait,
to.
wait, Pete. They found you annoying. They hang out with Tony Stark all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what they don't find.
But Tony Stark has
She didn't
money.
manage to get rid of the spider. Oh.
So yeah, it's like they didn't. They think Peter's annoying, but they deal with Thor not knowing how to use the remote every day. All right.
Well, not every day.
That makes me feel very negative.
Oh, and he's even
Also-
got his goons left. Nice.
No, wait. So his negative version doesn't have the impressive voice he normally has. It just goes to a snidely little nerdy voice.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me very
It's a good thing
angry.
none of those bullets hit you, Mr. Negative.
Well, Peter, I see that you will not be able to defeat me in my new, more powerful form.
Sorry.
These demons before I can follow Lee.
Mr. Lee, a losange.
Kind of
Okay, so
falling to
while-
that voice when I'm not feeling negative enough.
So while Martin Lee murders the shit out of Norman Osborn, we need to slowly and meticulously stealth kill every single one of these mooks. Slowly and meticulously. We can't do this fast. That would be lame. Oh, what's that? Osborn's getting his skull beaten in, like right inside that room over there.
He can last like 3 more broken ribs before he's like gonna bleed out. We can take our time, you know.
Unless, you know,
You know, Luke Cage did invite me for dinner the other day. I could probably.
it's a good thing that
swing
guy
by.
was just looking through his scope and not actually. Oh, I hate it when an open world game does this.
Oh,
where,
because
like,
everything has to be part of the world. So if you leave,
Yeah.
no,
then-
because like the border is so close to the edge of the mission, they don't give you any leeway. Like,
oh, you can't
even
like
Breath of-
go in from the back. You mean, yeah.
Yeah.
well, like you can't even slide out past the border to give yourself a little bit of room. The result being that, you know, you accidentally hit the border a bunch of the time. Breath of the Wild did that in one of its side quests, one of the shrine quests.
Oh yeah, that's
and-
annoying.
Kakariko Village. There's this orb that gets stolen by a Yiga clan guy, and you have to fight the Blade Master at the end of it. But like the area that you're supposed to fight the Blade Master in is so closed in that you're almost certainly going to trigger the and you start so close to the edge of it is the thing. So like you're like 2 or 3 times during that fight, I trigger the dialogue where the Sheikah guy is like, no, we can't let this guy go, and then you get warped back to a point.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's a reason for it. One of the big things about Breath of the Wild that annoys me is because it's such a huge and expansive game, but whenever you get to the edge, the game just puts up a little thing that says you can't go any farther, and you start running against an invisible wall. And for a game that's so immersive 90% of the time, to have like just this big, like, oh, how do you close off the world? We don't. Just, it annoyed me when I played the game.
All open world games do generally have that problem with how do you define the border.
Yeah, like a lot of them will just be like on an island or something. But
In Mass Effect, what they do is they say that you can't leave the mission area, and if you try to go too far out of it, the ship comes and picks you up automatically.
sorry, Shepard,
So-
you can't explore 3 feet to the left. Get back on there.
Actually, they'll let you drive like a respectable distance before they will stop you and bring you back to the ship.
One of my favorite examples of it was in Banjo-Kazooie in the water level. If you tried to swim out too far, there was a shark that would eat you. And that was just like one of my favorite examples of it, is just whenever they do manage to make it feel somewhat connected to the world. Because in explorative games, generally immersion is more of a thing versus okay, sure.
I did the takedown for invincibility frames.
Yeah, I'm impressed you could see what you were doing.
I couldn't.
Okay. Are you supposed to fight these guys in a fight, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you failed the stealth mission.
No.
This is one of those cases where you have to do a stealth mission and then they
then
immediately invalidate it with
Validate
an
it,
action
yeah.
sequence.
In, like, let's say Metal Gear Solid, for example, you can do, aside from boss fights, you can go through the whole game without ever having to do normal combat, right?
I mean, even
Yeah.
some boss fights don't require normal combat.
Okay.
Well, it depends on which Metal Gear Solid game you're talking
Well,
about.
that's what I'm saying.
because,
I said some bosses, not all of them.
like in Metal Gear Solid 1, you definitely had to fight. There were no non-lethal options.
4 had non-lethal options for the most part. 3 depended on the boss.
You harass my men.
You harassed me.
Destroy my equipment.
You took those on me.
Give me
Can I have some of those millions?
I'm trying to save his life.
I don't like you, you don't like me. But Lee has your client inside this building right now, and he's gonna kill him if we don't do something.
Also, you're just a chick with guns. I have spider sense. You pull those triggers, I'm gonna dodge.
Fight Lee, but not both.
When you
Finally,
put it like
Sable
that,
sees
it's going to be,
reason.
it sounds really reasonable, actually.
Also, I didn't really harass your men. I just sort of...
You guys kind of harassed me first, so don't blame me for that.
After that, I make no promises.
Works for me. Lee's out of control.
If you kill me now, you're gonna put JJ out of work. Can you live with yourself?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so we're just gonna let Sable murder the shit out of
Lee's guys.
Lee's.
Not on our
Mind-controlled
conscience.
pawns.
We can't control her actions.
I have to find a way to
Oh, so it's the old I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you mentality, except applied to people who don't deserve it.
It's like Spider-Man's seen what Lee does to people. How does he know they were willing participants in this?
Hallucination sequence number 16. Let's go.
Accident. You sound as clinical as Osborn.
Well, it was an accident. That wasn't the intended result, Martin.
Now,
Whether the intended
like
result was
Osborn
that,
cared.
I was going to say whether he cared or whether that was affecting him personally remains to be seen. But the point is, it was an accident.
And
like the
Otto
idea-
didn't know what was going on, was the implication?
No, he knew. I think it was more that Otto wanted it to be safer or more controlled,
Honor their legacy.
and neither of them expected that particular outcome.
But to truly honor them,
So Otto,
So, like-
Otto basically split out of being like some sort of moral conscience over it.
I like the idea that because Spider-Man decides to confront Negative about his past, the visions that we're seeing are about his past. Like, because Spider-Man put his mind in that space, that's what this manifested as.
I never really got a good idea of what his powers are.
His anger.
Eh.
Negativity.
So he spends a lot
so
of time on
he's a
social
Kingdom
media.
Hearts
Got
villain.
it.
Okay.
No, he's just on Twitter every day.
No, you see, Kingdom Hearts villains just treat light and darkness as if they're their own standalone metaphysical concepts. Whereas, negativity is about stuff that actually goes on in your mind. It's not like,
It's an emotion.
darkness is
hell
this
is that?
external force that just takes over if you're moody enough.
What the hell was that cut? The moments earlier.
That cut was probably the PS5 load time making it weird.
It felt really bizarre.
no.
Ouch.
Martin. Look, I told you I'm sorry.
Are you?
I was trying to help.
Were you?
You don't help people.
Lee's got a point.
Ooh.
There was no point for the moments earlier thing. You could have just cut to that.
Yeah, I thought we were going into a Miles section, actually.
Do you insist on trying to save this piece?
Oh, I guess, the implication is that this scene started while Spider-Man was still in Negative Land.
I mean, I guess, but you don't need to imply that. You can
He
just
could've
have
just,
him show up in the nick of time,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a trailer shot.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
a fighting game intro.
it kind of is. We're about to,
Time
start
to fight Martin
frickin'
again.
Spider-Man Ultimate Ninja Storm here. In fact, it's playing out exactly like an Ultimate Ninja Storm game right now.
He
Just,
was,
no.
running into the wall. I was like, I don't know what to do about this.
Never stop.
Boop.
Hey, that's an expensive monitor, Peter.
I hate how it makes Star Wars blaster sounds when you hit them.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to need to listen to it again.
Bonk.
What interests me about the scenario with the spiders in Osborn's secret bedroom lab, though, is how did Osborn come to the conclusion that Spider-Man got bit by anything?
I don't think that maybe that was the implication. Or maybe he put two and two together,
Because he's Spider-Man. Something happened with him with the spider.
it happened a
And-
couple of months after, because I don't know how many details we have about the actual bite in this universe, but usually it's a Norman lab, and usually it's, a fairly well-publicized accident. That's one of the things I really liked about the Ultimate Spider-Man continuity. At the very beginning, when Peter gets bit on the field trip, Norman's like, keep an eye on the kid and do so by trying to make it look like we're trying to make it up to him, so we don't get sued. Which is actually really clever, So
Yeah, that's
Norman
a Norman Osborn
finds
bit,
out
all
that
right.
Peter's Spider-Man fairly early on in the original Ultimate run, which I thought was a really cool way to do it.
Ah.
Fight it, Martin. You can walk away.
No, he can't.
Now you're definitely going to jail, but oh, okay.
Well, going to jail.
Kaiju battle.
Did he just fucking summon Susanoo from the Naruto series?
Sure.
Oh, and he's got a zombie
And
army
he's
now.
got and he's got Gollum on his side too. A lot of Golems at that.
Okay, so
Nice boast, though.
this is a pretty good fight, actually.
Now the fight's cool. I just wish that he had more
Presence.
time to breathe. Yeah, and like we could.
Not share the spotlight with
Six,
17 other villains.
Yeah, it's frustrating. If I
What would
had
that be
to
called?
guess,
The Serendipitous 17?
if I had to guess, they weren't sure if they were going to get another game, and they wanted to do as much as possible.
I'm saying
No,
Spider-Man's a safe bet.
Spider-Man's a safe bet, and there's also very clearly set up for sequel stuff. So
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that Spider-Man is a safe bet because the video game series has had like more starts and stops to it than the movies.
Yeah.
I would argue, though, the majority of those, unless I'm mistaken, were before Arkham.
Some of them, like I think Shattered
No,
Dimensions was after Arkham. At least one of the
Yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man games was after Arkham.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man games have been using Arkham Combat for a while. We had
Right. But I'm just talking about the notoriety.
Yeah, but we had the Amazing Spider-Man games aping Spider-Man 2, right? Without necessarily doing it as well. So then the Spider-Man games shifted creative direction to a more stage-based sort of affair. That was Shattered Dimensions. And this Shattered Dimensions did reasonably well, so they did a sequel to that, but it didn't do well because it was kind of bad. So, reboot.
Yeah,
So-
Spider-Man has a fairly decent range of games. Like, there's not as many outright terrible ones as you would expect. For
no, it's just him and Batman as far as games
But
go.
yeah, pretty much.
From a financial standpoint, though, they were doing fairly middling.
Yes.
And as a result, in recent memory, the creative direction and the people handling them have been changed up twice. So there's no guarantee that this won't be the third time that happens, at least from, their standpoint while developing the game.
I
And
mean,
considering they're doing a mix of Arkham and Spider-Man 2's web swinging stuff, it's like this is about as safe a bet as you're going to get, especially when you have a known
the
quality
Amazing
developer on
Spider-Man
it,
games that did fail already, and
Well,
before Shattered Dimensions were also
I would say
doing
this-
that.
I would say more so the Amazing Spider-Man games failed mostly because they were attached to middling movies.
that
Yeah, but
probably had
you
something
know,
to do with it.
But that's not the way these companies think. They just say, "Oh,
I don't
the
know
whole
about
thing
that. I don't know about
didn't
that.
work."
I don't know
So-
about that, considering it's a fairly easy thing to see. Where it's like, oh, they were movie tie-in games in an era when movie tie-in games were just falling flat on their face across the board.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
we see that.
early in the MCU's
But,
life cycle. That was kind of like the last remaining era of licensed video game tie-ins.
The people making these decisions don't look at these questions from the same perspective we do, though.
No.
They
It's very
never
think
have.
tank.
It's frustrating because there are so many obvious answers to their questions that they just don't see because they're not invested enough in the product that they make to actually consider things from the perspective of their audience.
Yeah, it's almost always a matter of how much money will this make me.
It's more like the people making the decisions look at everything the same way investors do. Come on, Octo. Look, I know you're all moody.
Oh, I was expecting that thing to break.
Well, They're not going to put that stuff in some kind of fragile container, you know?
Yeah, that's
So-
true, but it is still made of glass, so that was my expectation.
Is
Just
it made
well,
of
just
glass?
no, just because it's see-through doesn't mean it's glass.
Well, that's what I... Look, so if something's not what I immediately assume, that just means it's... Look, shut up, okay? I really like seeing Doc Ock's arms in motion whenever they do them, because when you kind of look at Doc Ock just kind of at a standstill, it doesn't seem like the arms should be that powerful, but whenever you like see him in motion, you do realize how flexible it makes him, especially since like these have saw blades on them and stuff.
Oh, here it comes. Confrontation.
It's just weird to think about how, ever since the Raimi movies, it's been Osborn / Green Goblin who have been the main like Spider-Man baddie. And it's really been Doc Ock for like most of his life.
Yeah, Doc
As a
Ock was
comic
the
character.
main Spider-Man baddie. I would say he was definitely the main Spider-Man baddie until Gwen Stacy died. I feel like they switched to Goblin because Goblin has the connection to Harry, who is Peter's friend, so there's like drama there. Whereas Doc Ock was kind of just a scientist in the original comics run, which of course you can tie to Peter, but they just didn't. He was just kind of a scientist who was angry in the original runs. So
Feast.
I need to feast. I'm hungry.
This is actually kind of neat because they've been at each other's throats the entire game, but it seems like Sable genuinely wants to help now.
well, yeah, because
She doesn't have much of a choice at the moment.
pretty much.
Well, I mean, no, she like looking at her face, the way she's talking, she seems concerned. Like, I don't know, that's just an interesting reaction.